Hi, I'm Kathleen, and this is Sanctella Knits. So yeah, my knitting podcast. I'm excited, very nervous. But looking forward to this. Right, how do people do this? I think it's usually finished objects first, and then whips. So I feel like I should have more, but I think these are the only two finished objects I have to show. No, I have to have my hair behind my ears or I will overheat. Okay. I've only got two finished objects to show. Gosh, it's dark. No, okay, I guess that's as bright as it can go. So this is my Sophie scarf. I know this is like so basic. Ooh, it still smells a little bit like the perfume that I wore when we went to get our Christmas tree. That's a nice smell. This is our Christmas tree. So yes, very basic, I know. Really unbearably basic. However, this was the first project that I ever actually blocked. And I also made it slightly larger than the large size. I think I increased I think I did maybe 33 repeats of the increased pattern and the decreased pattern. Something like that. Oh yes, wool. This is in Blue Sky Fibers Baby Alpaca in the color Pomegranate, which is this beautiful dark kind of garnety red. I think it's so gorgeous. I think I am going to have to get like a ring light or something because there is not enough light in this apartment to film anything. Especially not with me having to block out the natural light behind me because I wanted the Christmas tree in the background. Anyways, I think I knit this on a US 4 needle. I don't remember what millimeters that is. I'm going to see if I can pop it over here. And I used 2 skeins. And I had very little yarn left. I also made one of these in this beautiful orange color for my sister as a Christmas gift. That's my only gift knit this year. Although I did do 2 kind of semi-last minute. It's not last minute. It's the beginning of December. But 2 kind of panic, I don't know what to get gift crochets. I made my brother-in-law and my stepbrother-in-law both crocheted hot pads. Or, yeah, you call that a hot pad. The thing you take things out of the oven with. It's not an oven mitt. Like, it's just the square. A trivet is the thing that you put things on the table. I have word finding difficulties. So just like as I have ADHD, I have like mild long COVID. I'm hypermobile. That's not super relevant. Yeah, so that's finished object number 1. I love this. Oh, right. People usually do what they're wearing first. I'm so organized, y'all. I am wearing a very sentimental vest. It is kind of pilly. Oh my gosh, am I gonna cry? Well, oh well. My mom made this for my opa, for her father. So my maternal grandfather, when I was a child, and when he passed away, my grandma Joan, my grandma Joan, his wife, he remarried after my oma died. Grandma Joan gave this back to my mom, and my mom gave it to me. And I don't have any of my finished garment projects here. I've been knitting for over 15 years, but very intermittently. So the amount of actual like finished objects that I have is fairly small in comparison to how long I've been knitting. I learned to knit when I was in grade school. I was in 4th grade, so I would have been 10 or 11. So yeah, well over 15 years at this point. Yeah, so that's finished object number 1 and what I'm wearing. And then finished object number 2 that I have to show you is, sorry for the noise. It's kind of a clanking noise. This is a dice bag. I made it using the honey bucket bag pattern, which I think is a petite knit pattern. I think. However, honey bucket has an unfortunate connotation here in the States. I don't know if this is a thing in other parts of the world, but at least maybe it's only a regional thing, but at least in the Pacific Northwest where I live, a honey bucket is one of those, it's like a porta potty. It's like one of those little plastic bathroom cubicles that you can like wheel in to an event. My husband, oh my gosh, when I told him the name of this pattern, he fell over laughing. I mean, he was sitting down, but he was like truly doubled over laughing. He thought it was so funny. Anyways, so I knit this with 3 strands held together. I used Knitting for Olive. I think it's cotton merino. Knitting for Olive cotton merino in a really lovely light gray color that I am forgetting the name of. I used Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in another really lovely gray color that I am also forgetting the name of. I will put them over here. And then I held it with, okay, pronunciation. Who in the knitting community can pronounce everything? I dare you to show me that person because from things from all over the world, anyways, this is, I believe, a Japanese yarn brand. I don't know any Japanese. So if I pronounce this wrong, I'm very sorry. It's the Ito Kin Gin, I think that's just the name of the yarn, in the silver black colorway. And it gives this project this really lovely sparkle. Let me see if I'm gonna bring this closer to the camera. See if we can we focus? Yeah. Oh, yeah, look at that sparkly. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. And then actually while I'm here, I'll just show you, I did the inside of the drawstring and then the inner lining. I haven't actually fully lined it yet, but I need to, because if I'm going to put more dice in this, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So I didn't use the Ito Kingen silver black for the inside, and then I did the drawstring. I did not do I-cord drawstring. I don't have the patience for that. So what I did is I just braided 6 strands of the cotton merino together. I think I cut the yarn about an arm span length, or maybe just about, probably more like a yard. Braided them together, and then just like knotted the ends. So it has this like nice little fringe. They're quite long drawstrings. They're probably longer than they needed to be. But yeah, this bag I think is just the cutest thing. And I love it. And it makes me very happy. So yeah, that's my finished object number 2. I really hope that this mic is working. If it's not, I'm going to be very sad. Okay. On to the whips. I was inspired by Knitted by Whitney. And she has a little shorts series that she calls Dungeons and Knitting, because she uses D&D dice. I mean, okay, they're dice. They don't have to be used solely for Dungeons and Dragons. They're just kind of a standard set of tabletop role-playing game dice. My husband is very into tabletop role-playing games. He actually got me into playing my first ever TTRPG, which is a game called Shadowrun. I'm not going to go into all of that, but for the 1-year anniversary of when we started dating, he got me a big bag of dice, which are now living in that dice bag. So that's why I got the dice bag. But I was really inspired by Knitted by Whitney's little kind of shorts series. I thought it was really fun. So I decided to do something. I'm not going to do this really on camera, I don't think, but I decided to do something similar, which I'm calling dice directed knitting. So I have a D8 and a percentile die. They're just kind of out in front of my computer. And I have 8 projects listed on this little notebook. So yeah, I will get into those. Some of them are, so I'm just going to go through these in kind of the order that they're numbered. Some of these I have not cast on yet because the yarn has not arrived. So, although one of them actually, the yarn should be arriving today. I'm really hoping that it does. I'm very excited about it. And I'll get to that when I get to it. So number one whip is my temperature blanket. And you might think, it being December, that I'm most of the way through this. However, you would be wrong, because I am a little over halfway through this. Is that correct? May, June. Yeah, I am just a little bit over halfway done with this, because I'm a month behind. And I actually learned to crochet specifically for this project, because I think that for blankets, crochet just, I think, works a little bit better. Because the fabric is not as stretchy. So it's just, I liked the qualities of a crocheted blanket fabric better than the qualities of a knitted blanket fabric. So I learned to crochet for this project. My husband and I got married in April, and yeah, so this temperature blanket is, I decided to do a temperature blanket for our first year of marriage. So this, I will actually, I'm going to take this out and hold up some of it. Hopefully I won't, let me figure out where the hook is. No, is that it? No, that's the beginning. Where's the hook? Okay, the hook may have fallen out. Where's the hook? Ugh. Okay, well, if the hook fell out, oh well, No, it didn't fall out. It was just very close to the end. Okay. So it's big. And as you can see, I didn't do the kind of classic like rainbow colors for this. I did blues. So I did grays for under 30s. No. I think for under 20s, and then 30s and 40s. 50s, 60s, and 70s, I did blues, and 80s, 90s, and over 100. This is in Fahrenheit, to be clear. I did purples. I did not use the over 100 or 100 plus color because it did not get up over 100 this summer in Seattle, where we live. Which actually I'm very grateful for because I don't like hot weather. But I didn't end up using that color. So unless it gets very hot in April, which I quite doubt, I won't end up using that color. But that's okay. Anyway, so yes, I do this based on the high temperature each day. I try to track the temperature each day. Sometimes I have to use I think it's like timeandtodate.com. They have a past, like yesterday and past weather, page on their website. So you can see like what the past weather was where you live. And I've made copious use of that. Yeah. So this is, yeah. So yeah, this is the end. Starts on our wedding day, and it's going to end on the day of our first anniversary. So it's going to be a year and a day. Okay. Popping that back in its truly gargantuan bag. I got this bag specifically for this project. It's a big one. Okay. So that's whip number 1. The temperature blanket. Whip number 2. This is, I think, all of my whips. Do I have anything? Well, it's all of my whips that I have here. I think I probably still have like 1 or 2 projects that are still at my parents' house. I lived with my parents until I got married. And my younger sister. Okay, 2. This is a project that I call my blue oatmeal cardigan. Because I think that this color is a kind of bluish. It's kind of more green than bluish, to be real, but to me, when I picked out the color, I was like, this looks kind of like an oatmeal color, but if it were blue. It is not the best color for me. However, I'm a dark winter. However, I don't really care. It's going to be super soft and squishy and super cozy. This is the Seasons cardigan by Ozetta, aka Haley Smedley. Let me hold this up. I've just split for sleeves and body. Not sure if you're going to be able to see that very well. I really need to get like a ring light or something. Anyways, yeah, so I've just split for sleeves and body. It's knitted in half fisherman's rib. It's super squishy and cozy and lovely. And I am making this in Cascade 220 in the color Smoke Heather. Cascade 220 is probably my favorite yarn. And it's been my favorite yarn for like my entire knitting life. Okay, let's fold this up a little bit better. I also make a lot of kind of weird sound effects when I'm doing things. Hopefully you don't mind too much. If you do, click away. Okay, next on my whips list is a purple lace shawl. I haven't touched it in quite a while. I don't actually remember when I cast it on. It was in the winter, but I think it was 2 years ago. I think it was in the winter of 2023. Or maybe like late fall of 2023, because I think it was before I had met. I think I cast it on before I had met my husband. I'm not going to pull it out just because it's kind of like buried in the space between the end of the couch and the windows. So I'm not going to pull that one out. I will show it probably next time. Next on the list is my stripy Faroese shawl. This project, sorry, hideous rustling noises. This project, this is based on a pattern that I believe is called Stripy Faroese Shawl. The pattern, it's not a huge pattern designer. So I don't want to be mean. I mean, I don't think she's a big pattern designer. There were no other projects of this pattern, and I have modified it heavily. I'll put the name of the pattern designer over here. Yeah, and I've modified it heavily. I haven't gotten especially far. And I'm definitely going to need to block this. When I am done, I am knitting this in not in 220 Superwash. I'm knitting this in Barocco Ultra Wool, which is a Superwash wool. So this is in Barocco Ultra Wool in colors, which I will list over here. I don't have them memorized, and it's been, I think I cast this on, okay, no, the Blue Oatmeal cardigan I cast on in November of 2022. I've gained some weight since then. And so when I picked it back up, I had to remember which size I was making, and then I had to go 3 sizes up. Luckily, I was still in the raglan increases, and that was very easy to do. So anyways, this is my Stripy Faroese shawl. I am really enjoying making it. It's stockinette, not in the round. So it's not 100% stockinette. The pattern is entirely in garter stitch. I didn't really like the pattern. I just it was a paid pattern. It wasn't fantastic. It was like a 1-page pattern that was kind of just very bare bones. I had to do, and I again, as I said, I modified it substantially. Because I didn't think I would like the shawl that I would end up with if I followed the pattern exactly. So what I did was 8 rows of garter stitch in my main color, which is this kind of grayish blue. And then I did, you know what? I'm actually just going to pull out my notes. That's not my notes. Where's my notes? Is this my notes? That is not my notes. Excuse me while I hunt. Is this it? Oh, this is it. Good. Okay. So I cast on 526 stitches. So this is the pattern. As I say, yeah, Faroese shawl with stripes. Yeah, this is the entire pattern. 1 page. I basically just used it as a jumping off point. And it also has instructions for fringe, which I don't want to do. Yeah. So then these are my kind of, again, very bare bones instructions for myself. So I basically like rewrote the pattern in a way that was clearer to my brain. So I cast on 526 stitches. I worked 2 rows in garter stitch and then placed my markers with 8 stitches for the edge, 235 stitches for the, what would that be? I think that would be for the right side, 40 stitches for the center, 235 stitches for the other side, and then 8 stitches for the edge. After those 2 rows in garter stitch and placing the markers, I started decreases on all right side rows, which are at the beginning and end of each side section. So at the beginning of each side section, it's a knit 2 together, and at the end of each side section, it's a slip, slip, knit. And then decreasing in that pattern, I worked 6 more rows of garter stitch, and then I worked, so a total of 8 edge or bottom edge rows in garter stitch. And then I worked 6 rows in stockinette stitch in my main color. Then I changed to the green color, which is called rosemary. The blue-gray color is called stonewashed. Then I changed to the green color, which is called rosemary, and worked 10 rows in stockinette stitch. Then I changed to the purple, which is called wisteria, worked 8 rows in stockinette stitch. Then I changed to the color ocean, worked 18 rows in stockinette stitch. Then I changed back to wisteria, worked 6 rows in stockinette stitch, and I have just changed to the color ocean, in which, and I've done 2 out of 18 rows of stockinette stitch. And then after that, I will do 8 more rows in wisteria, 10 more rows in rosemary, and then either 130 or 136 rows in stonewashed. And then I'm going to bind off all of the remaining stitches. Well, I mean, I'll check and see if I like the shape of it. If I do like the shape of it, at that point, I will bind off all the remaining stitches, and then I would crochet along the top edge of 2 rows of single crochet, just to kind of stabilize the edge. That's my plan for my stripy Faroese shawl, and that's the whip. I'm I really like this pattern. It's very, very simple and mindless knitting. And it's very, I think, what's a good word for it? It's very engrossing. I really enjoy it because it's very easy and it's very motivating. I really want to I always want to be like, okay, I want to get to the end of my row and then I want to get to the end of the next row. So I think people call that potato chippy, but I don't really like that term. So that's whip number 4. Whip number 5. I'm so excited about this. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this. So excited. So freaking excited. I'm losing my mind a little bit. I'm so excited. I am knitting my first ever, untangling yarn over here, my first ever pair of socks. Wow, you cannot see that at all. Oof, this is tangled. Okay. Yeah, let me bring this closer to the camera. Yeah. So I'm knitting the Petal Drops sock pattern by Florence Miller. I chose that one specifically because it has a video tutorial that goes through the entire thing. Because again, I have never knitted socks before. And it's a tutorial that really assumes only the most absolutely basic of foreknowledge, which I really appreciate. I'm on my 11th row of the ribbing at the cuff of the sock. I'm a little bit concerned about these socks fitting me. I have very wide ankles, very wide calves, and fairly wide feet. However, I didn't really feel up to the task of, I just did not feel up to the task of trying to make alterations to a sock pattern on my first go. So hopefully these fit, and if they don't, they'll probably fit my husband. Although I'm not sure he would wear lace socks. And my sister's feet are smaller than mine. Whatever. If they don't fit me, I'll figure out who to give them to. Anyways, so I'm so excited about knitting a pair of socks for the first time. It feels like knitting with toothpicks. I'm using the, I think it's pronounced Luca, flight needles, interchangeable circulars in size US 1. I'm not sure what length this cable is. I'm knitting it in fingering weight yarn. This is Cascade Heritage, which is, what is it? It is 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon. And yeah, it's turning out really beautiful. There have definitely been some times where I've caught one of the plies slightly, or a couple of fibers from one of the plies slightly, because these needles are pretty sharp. And so there are a couple of spots where it looks a little bit messy, just because I wasn't used to, to what I was doing yet. But I think they look beautiful. I bought this yarn at a local-ish to me yarn shop called Stranded by the Sea. It is in Edmonds, Washington. My husband and I were driving back from spending an afternoon with his mother. We were baking Christmas cookies with her. She's amazing. She bakes Christmas cookies for all of her loved ones every year. I don't even know how many boxes of Christmas cookies she puts together, But there are like, gosh, I want to say like minimum 12 different kinds of cookies in each of these boxes. Holy bananas, she's amazing. And my dad can't have dairy. Frick, I'm gonna cry again. This is one of those ADHD things where I get really overcome with emotion at the absolute drop of a hat. Not my favorite ADHD thing. I'll be real. So my husband, Jeremy, and I were up at my mother-in-law's, helping her bake some special dairy-free cookies for my dad, so that he can also enjoy the Christmas cookies that she makes. And I just really appreciate that she did that. It means a lot to me. My best friend also is allergic to dairy, and she and my dad are both very gracious and very much like, you know, kind of will be like, oh, you know, like if there's, you know, very few items somewhere that they can have, or like, you know, no options at all. They're very gracious about it. But I know it means so much to both of them when someone kind of goes out of their way to make something that they can have. And so I'm really grateful to Vicky for doing that for my dad. Yeah. Actually, at our wedding, our wedding cake, we actually had 3 cakes, because we wanted to do like a couple of different flavors, and we thought it would be easier to do like kind of 3 separate cakes than a tiered cake, to have like enough cake for everyone. Anyways, at our wedding, the wedding cakes were all gluten-free, dairy-free, and egg-free, because one of Jeremy's good friends is allergic to egg. Obviously, my dad and my best friend, who was my maid of honor, can't have dairy. And then my now sister-in-law's now ex-wife has celiac. So that's why the gluten. Yeah, so we found this amazing bakery that could accommodate all of those things. It's actually a dedicated gluten-free bakery. And then sometimes they can do things with dairy. They can do things with egg. Everything they make is gluten-free. But they were kind of the only place that we've found that could also accommodate the dairy-free, egg-free part of it. And they were really great to work with. They were really lovely. Oh yes, okay. Whip number 6, Christmas stockings. I don't have the yarn for this yet. That's going to be my first ever color work. I'm really kind of stretching myself with casting on my first ever socks, and soon I'll be casting on my first ever color work, which I'm really excited about. I think it's like the woodland animals stockings. I will put the designer's name and the name of the pattern here, and obviously I'll link all of the patterns below. Yeah, so I'm gonna make those, obviously not for this Christmas. I'm not gonna put that pressure on myself. And also, my husband and I will be sleeping over at my parents' on Christmas Eve night so that we can spend all of Christmas Day at my parents' house, so that we don't have to kind of wake up here, get ourselves together, and go over there. Specifically because my family always, Christmas morning, we always get new pajamas, and so then we all kind of lounge around in our new pajamas for several hours. So that I'm really excited about also. Project number 7 on this list for my dice directed knitting is what I'm calling my Rosemary Sophie. I really like the Sophie scarf. I love having, I know it's so basic of me, but I love having like a little scarf to like tie around my neck. Because usually I don't actually need a really big scarf. I love really big scarves. You know, I have so many that are really beautiful, like hand-woven merino wool. But often I don't really need that, and it's a little bit too much. So that's why I made the Sophie scarf for myself and also for my sister, because she gets cold super easily. Anyways, I'm rambling. Another ADHD thing. So love the Sophie scarf. I wanted to make something with a little bit more, oh, my camera battery is probably going to die soon. Okay. So I'll be quick. I wanted to make another Sophie scarf in a lace pattern, in like all over lace. So I searched and searched and searched, and I finally found a scarf pattern that's called the Rosemary scarf. Again, I will link it below. And I'm going to make that. I'm going to make basically the Sophie scarf. I'm going to make a few adjustments to it, which I'll detail once I've actually cast it on. So that's the one that the yarn for it should be coming today. I will be knitting it in Cascade 220 fingering, held with knitting for Olive soft silk mohair. And the colors I will tell you about once I've cast it on. And then project number 8 on here is just snood. I actually have one right here. I have been wearing a lot of snoods lately. A snood, if you're not familiar, is this basically like kind of hairnet thingy. The angle might be a little bit different. I had to change my camera battery, but it's on a tripod, so hopefully it's mostly the same. Oh, that tea is so good. And it's cooled off to a nicely potable temperature, a nicely chuggable temperature to be fair. Oh, that's so good. This is a tea by my favorite tea company, Murchie's, which is a Canadian tea company. They are based in either Victoria or Vancouver, BC. I've been a couple of times. I've been to Victoria, I think only once when I was a child. I think when I was 9. And I've been to Vancouver a couple of times. I love Murchie's so much. They're my favorite tea company. Usually I get my tea from them. I just order it online. I have not ordered any since the tariffs went into effect, but I have a lot because it's my favorite tea company and I've been ordering tea from them for years. So, yeah, so that's, the tea that I'm drinking is called Snowflake. It is a black tea with coconut in it. And it's so tasty. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Okay. I believe what I was talking about right before the camera battery died was the snood project. So if you're not familiar, a snood is basically a hairnet. I've been making a lot of them. I crochet them. I've been making a lot of them because I love several things about them. I love that it keeps my hair back out of my face without being very tight. These have that kind of like hairband, the like fancy hairband elastic that's basically like elastic ribbon kind of tied and knotted. They have that kind of ribbon elastic in the drawstring bit here. And I have several in several colors. I actually got myself a mini skein of some Malabrigo sock yarn in the color Wales Road to make myself a snood. And then they're a great project to use up like little scraps of, well, not little scraps, but like they're a good project to use up scraps. If you have like a decent amount. But yeah, they're very simple. I kind of vaguely follow a pattern. I mean, I found a pattern online for a snood. I don't like it very much. I found it very challenging to follow. So I'll tell you what I do to make the snood. Basically what I do is I chain 8 or 10 stitches, join them in the round, and then into each of those stitch, single crochet 2 stitches. So that would increase to either 16 or 20. And then into each of those stitches, single crochet another 2 stitches. So increasing to 32 or 40. Just kind of depending on how voluminous I want the snood to be. Alternately kind of how tightly I'm planning to make it, like what size of hook I'm using. Kind of depends on how many stitches I chain at the beginning. But basically, chain the beginning number of stitches, fairly small number of stitches, join them in the round, and then do 2 rows, or 2 rounds, I guess, 2 rounds, where each stitch is, where you single crochet 2 stitches into each stitch of the previous round. And then, basically, and then you start making the net portion. And for the net portion, the first kind of square you make by chaining 5 and then doing, I believe it's a treble crochet. And I'm not sure if I'm using American or British terms. I'm sorry. Yeah, so you treble crochet into like the next stitch along of that circle of like 32 or 40 stitches, however many it is. And then you work all the way around, kind of treble. So, and then you chain 2, and then treble crochet into the next stitch along. And then you kind of go all the way around doing chain 2, treble crochet into the next stitch, into the next stitch at kind of the base. And that's your kind of setup row for the net. And then kind of going forward for every subsequent row of the net portion. And then it will look very, very, what's the word? It will look very like squiggly, I guess. It will look too voluminous for the area, but it's that voluminous because that's the number of net stitches that you're going to have for the entire width of the snood for the entire width of your head, and it's just around a fairly small circumference at that point. It will, and it will work out really nicely when it's on your head. So then after that first kind of setup net row, at the beginning of every net row, or at the end of every net row, you join in the round. And then at the beginning of the next net row, you chain 5, treble crochet into the next kind of corner. I guess the way to say it would be corner, the next kind of corner. So the next place where there's kind of what's coming across and what's going down to the previous row, or to 2 rows back. So you treble crochet into kind of the T, this spot here of the T, and then chain 2, treble crochet into the next T, basically. Hopefully I'm explaining that in a comprehensible way. I have no idea how to, I'm not very good at reading crochet patterns, and I have absolutely no idea how to write a crochet pattern. So I'm just kind of explaining what I do. Then you basically just keep doing rows of the net until it's almost as long as you want it to be. And then maybe until it's about like an inch or so shorter than you really want it to be. And then what you do is you take that elastic ribbon, and using the elastic ribbon, you do I think it's a double crochet, but basically you do the thing where you wrap the yarn around the hook once, and then you kind of scoop the hook under the elastic, grab the yarn and pull it back so that basically it forms a casing around the elastic. And then you work that kind of all the way around. And you want to cut the elastic long enough that you can kind of tie it into a little knot, fairly loosely around your head. I didn't really say why I like wearing snooze. Anyways, I'll finish this part first. Once you've finished the casing for the elastic, gone all the way around and done that, then you just work one more round of single crochet all the way around, and then kind of weave in your ends. And that's pretty much it. I've made so many of these because they're really simple. They're a pretty quick pattern, a pretty quick project. I can usually make them in, I want to say like 2.5 hours, maybe. Somewhere between 1.5 hours and 2.5 hours, depending on how quickly I'm working. So they're a very quick project. And I really like them because they keep my hair out of my face. They keep my hair pretty much off the back of my neck, which is like one of my weird sensory sensitivities. I don't really like the feeling of my hair on the back of my neck. I used to have a pixie cut because of that. I like having my hair a little bit longer. It means I can do kind of different fun things with it. And I really like how curly my hair is, but the snood is great. It also, for one that's like, has really good like stitch definition and is worked in a really nice kind of like crisp looking yarn. It's a really easy way to kind of make myself look a little bit more put together. And it looks quite vintagey. But yeah, but I kind of enjoy that too. And then, oh yes, and the other reason I really like snoods is because the kind of more popular ways of pulling one's hair away from one's face, so ponytails, messy buns, braids, all of those, like the pressure is distributed unevenly along the head, along the skin of the head, of the scalp, and I get migraines, and I can't keep my hair up in one of those things for long enough to make it worth it. Because they give me a headache, and that's painful, and I don't really want that. So snood with kind of loosely tied drawstring elastic. It stays on really well. I haven't used any yarn that's really slippery. And I haven't tried washing any of them. I think if I were going to wash them, I would probably just do like hand wash with Eucalan or whatever, wool wash I have at the time. So yeah, I think that's basically it. That's all of my whips. I should probably get back to my computer and check if I can get back to studying. Anyways, hopefully this was fun, at least a little bit for you. I really hope you enjoyed watching this. And if you enjoyed this, I would really appreciate it if you could leave me a kind comment. Yeah, because that would be very motivating for me. And I feel like I'm forgetting to say something, like, subscribe, comment, all of the usual things that YouTubers say. And hopefully I will see you again sometime soon for another one of these. I hope you find the beauty that today is offering you, and take good care of yourself. Yeah, let's, hopefully that's good. Hopefully this works out, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully I'll see you again sometime soon. And with that, I'm going to finish my tea, and then I'm gonna check on my sourdough starter. And then I'm gonna get back to studying. Take good care, friend. Bye.